What I'm about to share with you is some will be considered classified information, but I believe that every American should know. Some things you may consider to be false, mystical, mythology, foolish, and it's very sensitive, especially to those who are Christians, that a lot of them do not know about these things that maybe is going to be revealed to us in the future and how to handle them. What I have is packets of information that I have been collecting, or that I have collected from the year 2007 through 2009. It's over a decade of work from people that were in the military, those who did government, government officials, and names I'm not going to give except two, which these guys have actually died for actually exposing wickedness in the government. Now, I'm not going to say that every person that works in the government is bad. There are those who are really doing good. There are those who are for, like, humanitarian upbringing, in a positive aspect, in a positive way. And there are those who are there to just seek control. And if you really want to know about this stuff, especially when it comes to technology and, mind manipulation, what you want to do is research something that's called electronic colonialism. You can start there. Again, I'm going to show you some of the things that has been, I would say, probably leaked. And there's some things I'm going to be talking about that you should know. Again, just pray for wisdom and discernment. Again, I don't want to say anything that's going to be contrary to the scriptures, and obviously it's not going to be, because it's going to be kind of like exposing a lot of things that we should know and not be ignorant by. First off, well, here's the, cover my name up, but here's the documents, like all the stuff that a few of the stuff I'm going to be talking about is in here. Some things I'm going to just pass by. I've really been wanting to do this since, like I said, over a decade. Right? But only some people know about it, some people don't. It's just me carrying around these big things is like a little bit too much. I'm going to be like going off of these things that I have. I kind of like took notes and everything, just jot all this stuff down. It's about like 16, 15 pages or so. Kind of out of order. Some shouldn't even belong in here. But I'm going to just, try to go through. You may see some edits, some cuts and stuff. Just know I'm trying to get to the right subject. This I really hasn't been prepared for. This is more of like just speaking everything out. But then again, YouTube has this moments where, like on the timeline, not a timeline, but like on the time frame. So I'm going to be reading this book. I have mentioned it to you before on this, like my book collection. This one's going to be about data collection, so I'm going to just start off with that, and just like half a page. And so on page 5. In 2013, in June, we learned that the NSA has a secret data warehouse in Utah, a $1 billion epicenter where it can store massive amounts of information. Microsoft, Yahoo, Google, Facebook, YouTube, AOL, Skype, PayPal, and Apple were caught handling over to the government all kinds of information about Americans, including phone records, emails, and other digital communications, and claimed they were forced to do so. Again, it talks about a lot of stuff in here, so you can check it out. I just want to get that out for a minute. To say this is, be careful what you post online. And this goes to people that like to post, just for the fan base of pictures, and can be nasty stuff or drugs or guns and things like that, because they actually have a record of it. And it wouldn't be hard to actually track you. Some of the photos that you do take actually have some sort of, like, I'm not sure if it's some sort of code or something, but because I've seen this happen before. This lady took a picture, and I'm just scrolling. This was years ago, and I was scrolling through Facebook, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I just happened to look at the picture real good, and I noticed something, and was able to identify her exact area where she took, and she wasn't even in the state. And I told her, and she was like, how did you know? And I said, there's actually a code on these pictures that you take and post it on here. And so she got rid of it. I think she probably got rid of her page, I'm not sure, but it can be scary. So just be careful what you post online, and knowing that maybe the world can actually keep it and save it and store it. And just be careful. It's better to just kind of keep a private life. And I know a lot of you guys maybe just, keep friends up to tab and what they're doing are fun. Because I don't have no problem with that, but just things that are very sensitive, you just want to just be careful. And the reason why I'm doing this, even though this is very sensitive, I wouldn't say classified, but it's something that's called a great deception. And it's those who are unaware that can be caught in it. And it's so sloppy. Many of you believe that aliens exist. Just to talk about it can be, where I'm getting at with this, or why don't you hear much of this, in church and things like that? Because, Hollywood has a way of they do have a way of manipulating people and their beliefs and values, but aliens are not what you think they are. When you ever hear stories of people being probed, or men's sperm is being, taken out of them, or a woman's ovaries are being, taken out, and then other stuff happening, or abduct these things go back in time, way before we was even born. That it's a galaxy war. It's like a cosmic war between good and evil, and you have these things that are called grays. Apparently they call themselves, that they're from Reta Zeculia, some weird planet, whatever. And you got the reptilians, the humanoids, got those who, very like Europeans, like the Netherlands, and just different kinds and types of aliens, the terrestrials. I just want you to know that they all are under one government, which is owned by Satan. That's it. So if you were to say aliens are fallen angels, that's exactly what they are. You just notice that he has some that's working while they're actually in the flesh, and those who are actually in the spirit. And just to trick the masses, like kind of like what we are being tricked by now, just with the media. We believe in things online that are not really true, unless, like I said, unless one actually does the work to see it for themselves. And this is what I have done. I really dedicated myself to really asking people, whether they're in the government or in the military, served in, sort of a presidential administration, is just really asking. We'll probably talk about that later. But yeah, and it's really taking notes, because like when the truth hits you, it kind of stays with you, and when you're able to dissect the truth from lies, you're able to know, discern, what is false and what isn't. 1954, President Eisenhower, there was something that's called the 1954 Grenada Treaty. The Grenada Treaty, it's all online now, but the Grenada Treaty was actually like a start of a trade where we will have some of the alien tech, like hardware, and the aliens would pretty much have our software, like our body parts, or animal mutilations, and taking things out. And as far as like a trade where they can borrow us for a little bit, and then with a list of names, and then they'll return us back. And with the alien tech thing that has been occurring, apparently with Eisenhower, her great granddaughter spoke about that it's actually being renewed every decade, every 10 years. Not sure if that's true or not, but I'm just sharing with you. You can see for yourself. But it's been a trade against evil and good for a while, and they're just kind of invading into our space, into our territory. Again, this is more like oh my God, like a governmental, this is up here. Like the trade is up here, and we're down here, kept in secret about it. But there was a boost in technology from these trades, these alien tech trades, within 20 years. Like if you look at computers back in the day, it was the size of a room. Now it's like we can actually put it in our skin. And that's something you want to look up too. It's called nanotechnology. That's something you can just look up. But you can kind of see it in movies and things, but it's like it can be technology like in your bloodstream. And again, that's just another talk. But this trade, we have harvest, night vision goggles, fiber optics, circuit board, possibly GPS signals, all this other stuff. It's integrated circuit boards, futuristic gadgets, lasers. This happened in, of course, this was actually written by Philip J. Corso. I actually read parts of his book. Philip J. Corso. I believe he was a lieutenant in the Army back in the 40s, and he witnessed like bodies and alien spacecraft that crash landed in Roswell, New Mexico. It's crazy and creepy at the same time, but you can also educate yourself on these things because this guy is gone, but it's like he didn't lie about nothing, man. This man kept the same story for years. I mean, decades. And there was actually a technology leap, like I said, within a 20-year gap. Like we just all of a sudden just advanced in technology. I remember I was talking to a guy. He was retired in the military. I know him, and retired in the Army. And he, if you see me like kind of like dazed enough, it's just a lot to share with you. And I'm trying to just really categorize it in order again. Like with these notes, but he said he told me some stuff, and he said that, in the 70s, they were actually working with a way that you can actually manipulate bullet time, in a way that, you can shoot a gun, right? The bullet would just simply go straight, but there's a way that they're working on something where you can shoot a gun, and then it's like you can actually like make the bullet like turn, can go left or right, up or down, whatever. It's like you're actually controlling your shot, controlling the bullet as it's going through, whatever. That can actually be seen on the movie G.I. Joe 2 Retaliation. But it's crazy. And by the way, if you ever hear something that's called E.B.E, E.B.E means extraterrestrial biological entity. Extraterrestrial basically means of or from outside of the Earth atmosphere. Biological is a living organism, and then entity is an independent existence. I'm going to get really, really deep into these things. Again, just bear with me. I'm really not trying to use any graphics and stuff like that, so I don't want to keep looking down this, whatever, so I'm going to just try to read it off the best way I can. Again, I just kind of written this stuff is like so sloppy, but I'm just doing the best thing I can so far. A trade isn't done by force. One has to simply comply. And that's what the 1954 Grenada Treaty was about. You got these officials, the Majestic 12, you can look that up, president and all that, and then you got these aliens that were simply like coming together, and they were kind of like, really discussing things, and them telling like, hey, their planet is dying, or they don't really have, so we need to borrow this from y'all, and we can also make a trade and things like that. Again, the aliens are known to lie. They work for Satan. They're just liars. Simple as that. They're just big time liars. Now, if you go into scriptures and you read Jude chapter 6. I'm sorry, Jude verse 6, because it's only one chapter. Jude verse 6. It says that the angels didn't keep their position in heaven. Now, if you read the book of Enoch, from chapter 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So Enoch chapter 6 through 10 kind of speaks about that, and Enoch goes into more depth into these things, into the occurrence of what happened. And if you wonder why, I believe one of the reasons why the book of Enoch is actually is not in the Bible, because it Jews did not want nothing in the prophecies to contain about Christ. Like, they didn't want Christ into, into their ancient prophecies. Again, the Jews really didn't have any respect for him. They kind of like never did. It's sad because that's his home people, but they didn't want that in there, so they kind of like just canceled it out. But yeah, we know we're able to still obtain those prophecies from Enoch. Again, the book of Enoch, chapter 6, verse 10, it speaks about these angels or children from God, or sons of God. About 200 of them that came upon the earth and took women as their wives and mated with them. So again, Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 through 4 speaks about that too. So again, Jude verse 6, Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 through 4, and then Enoch chapter 6 through chapter 10 speaks about those things. I'm going to just read is what I have as far as the notes. Now, remember I was telling you about the trade in 1954, Grenada Treaty trade? It actually happened again, but it happened before all this even happened in 1954. But they were actually teaching mankind like charms, enchantments, cutting the roots, botany. That's like the biology of studying the plants. So it's like they actually became those aliens, or I don't say aliens, but those beings became our teachers on the cutting edge of, like the mysteries of the earth, constellations, studying of the clouds, makeup, jewelry, earth metals, like the signs and the course of the moon and the, planets and stuff. So it's like we were taught these ancient secrets. Number one, they wasn't even supposed to come. They left their domain, like what Jude said. They left their domain in heaven, and now they're like in chains in hell, I would say. Well, yeah, in chains in darkness because of what they've done. Again, you can see that trade that happened in 1954. We were taught like by the tech that we have. They wasn't giving us these. They were giving us things that were pretty much too much for us. So we had reverse engineers back in the 50s. We had reverse engineers to just deal with these things and harvest what we can and manipulate the gadgets and stuff. Going back in the days of Enoch and the same thing. It's like that trade happened. It was teaching us stuff. So you can kind of see how this sort of historical moment kind of like repeats itself. And the first purge, I'm not talking about the movie, but the first purge was the flood. Was when Enoch chapter 10 and Genesis chapter 6 speaks about it, and just like God just simply got rid of all wickedness because men was going against their own, killing their own. These Nephilims were, they were doing the same thing with Nephilims. They were pretty much giants. I mean, you got angelic fathers and and earthly mothers mating. It's not going to look right. But they were massively huge. And if you ever decide, whenever you do look at these like old portraits, paintings of these gods, these beings, those were actually real, but they wasn't humans. Again, they were kind of like offsprings of what happened. I mean, you got, don't get it mixed up with I think it's called gigantism. It's like a disease, with tall people. You got guys in the 8 feet, 7 feet. That's just normal. But for these beings, these Nephilim beings, they kind of like didn't look right. They looked kind of maybe hideous, but they were like giants. I mean, 10, 12, 14, 15 feet. Normally they would have like, we got like 5 fingers. Normally they would have 6. So they have a total of 12 fingers. And also we have 5 toes. They would have 6 on each. So they have like 12 fingers and 12 toes. What's that dude name? Goliath and his brother. Now we have superheroes. You know, they were Nephilims, which they were considered gods and goddess. Egyptians had them. Again, the Sumerians, the Greeks had them. You know, Zeus, Poseidon. I can't remember exactly. Well, I got them all right here. Hermes, Hades, the god of the sea, the god of the heavens, the god of death, the god of fertility. Superheroes are modern day gods. It's just it's basically a classical theme being played out right before us, before our very eyes. The only thing that is different is that the ones we have now just have capes and the cool costumes. Zeus is Superman. Just look at it like that. Poseidon is Aquaman. The Flash, Hermes. Batman, Hades. So you get what I'm saying with these things. Where am I at? Oh yeah, the days of Exodus. Even before that time period, many of these gods were worshipped. Gods and goddess. Happy, Osiris, Jeb, Imhotep, Amun, Ra, Kepler, like all these gods were worshipped, and there's proof about this too. When you read the story of Exodus, you remember those plagues, the plagues of darkness, the plagues of flies, just nasty, death. These plagues, those Egyptians prayed to their gods and goddess. You know, the god of the Nile River, and they would do whatever that's appeasing to the gods, you know, sacrificing or whatever, just to get the gods' attention. But really, that's when the Egyptians and the magicians, the sorcerers, they realized that this is done by the finger of God, like the one true God, the God of the Hebrews. And they were just afraid because, again, they looked at Moses as being a god because he was commanding or making all these things happen. So that's when they stopped believing the Egyptian gods. Again, these gods didn't look like me and you. You know, they were mighty, hideous. These were the mighty men or heroes and famous warriors of ancient times. That's just a modern way of saying it in Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. So again, mighty men or heroes, the men of renown, or they were basically famous warriors. So again, you look at all these famous warriors back in the day and look at their stature, their massive build. Again, we just look at them as superheroes. So if you were to say superheroes are like ancient gods, then yeah. And if you have children, just think about who they love, like who they really worship and who they really want to be like. Well, back in the day, we had Power Rangers. Superman was my guy. Poseidon, well, not Poseidon, but Aquaman. But they're nothing but just ancient gods that just put on a costume. That's it. The different tribal gods and goddess. Again, I have read some off to you. They different names, different special abilities, different powers, different set of skills, but they all serve the same master, and that's Satan. You know, our attention majority is on the news, what's behind TV or Netflix, our phones. But when you go back into history and look at how things were done in ancient civilization and looking up the artifacts, evidence, there's a lot of things that are being revealed. The earth is actually, God is uncovering the earth, revealing ancient secrets. We are able to find these things. Again, I even dedicated an Instagram page on these things, biblical archaeology. I was so surprised to see these things myself. I thought some of them were destroyed due to wars and famines, but God has been very faithful in keeping these things buried for such a time as this. Now it's being revealed. It's being revealed for such a time as this. The first lie Satan said to God's family was, you will be like God. Despite the fact of knowing good and evil, but the statement, you will be like God, was like the number one thing that he told Adam and Eve, and it's simple, like what he's telling many of us now in secrets. Like, you will be like God, knowing good and evil. But the first thing, you will be like God. And if you decide that you want to be like God, then you don't really need the one true God, because you yourself is already a God. And we know that two gods don't get along. I mean, you see it. I mean, of course, in movies have their own, just have their own theory. But when you're trying to make yourself a God, you're simply removed from your position. Satan was the first example, because he wanted to be not like God, but be higher than God. And we know what happened when pride gets into the heart. Again, he's our main example. All right, cover-ups. The cover-ups is just blending in with the trend. That's it. Blend in with the trend, like movies where the general public are easily controlled by overly consuming what the media feeds you. Look up electronic colonialism. Just whenever you get a chance, just look that up. Movies like Independence Day, Mars Attacked, E.T., War of the Worlds, Alien vs. Predator. When there's an overload of entertainment, anything will consist as fake. So when we get all these movies and video games and Netflix shows or whatever about aliens, it's like we've been seeing that for 20, 30, 40 years, and it's like all of a sudden they exist. It's like, that's trash talk. Because we are programmed to be entertained by it, and it's not now all of a sudden the truth comes out, like whatever. The attention of the masses is focused towards entertainment, media, by common use of technology. Just this year, the Pentagon released 3 videos. I'm going to show them to you briefly, but they revealed that there is UFOs, unidentified flying objects. And on a personal note, I've seen a flying star, or a shooting star. This was like 2010. But 2010, 2011, it was nice. I was just looking. I actually seen it a few times. One time, the last time I seen when I was praying, like I was on my way to work, and I was just praying, and I was done. It just seemed like it was the middle of the night. I was like, that's nice, But the first time I seen a UFO, and I know this was a UFO. Again, they mean unidentified flying objects. But I try to record it the best way I can. There were like these, when I first thought of, I was just in the field, because behind the house it was a field, and I'm just looking west, like looking northwest. It was 2, yes, right. It was 2 like disc, but it was like red and like orange reddish, like an orange reddish color, and then green. And it was like back and forth, like, simultaneously back and forth, like, and then it started going around and around. So it was 2 of these, and then another one came like out of nowhere. It wasn't that far off in the sky, things like that, but I was able to like see it and kind of zoom in. But I was just looking at it, and they were moving just like this, like, just like a synchronized pattern. It was just weird, and going back and forth and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is like creepy. And then it just disappeared, Then it kind of like came back. I wasn't hallucinating, nothing like that, but it was just weird for me to see something like that. And I'm like, I was kind of amazed about it, like, well, that's crazy. But then again, it's like, what the heck, so again, it's nuts. The enemy will rather hide the truth, and if it comes out, he would have to manipulate it. About the Roswell incident, okay, this is page 6. So again, I kind of had this all prepared, but when you be writing so much, like as you can see here, some of the stuff, it's like I gotta go down here because I've written a note, and then down here, and I get other stuff, like, see it, like, I tend to do this sometimes, and I don't know. I guess when you're writing something, you get ideas, and you gotta fit that into something, so you gotta draw lines. Like, I got this whole mousetrap. You remember that game back in the 90s? I never did get to play it. My cousin's always playing stuff, and they be cheating. So if you guys watching this, my cousins, I'm mad at you. No, I'm playing, I'm joking. But 1947, again, about the cover-ups, Roswell UFO incident, a false report. They mentioned that it was a weather balloon that crashed. And the public was, of course, the public was alarmed, and lying to them eased their curiosity. But then more and more reports were being made, and not just in the U.S., but all over the world. And those rumors that they found the space body. So that kind of got out in the general public. And so they said, oh, it was just some sort of like a crash dummy, whatever, that failed, and that was testing it out. So it's like they have to keep covering it up with lies. And the more and more you keep doing that, it's like, okay, you know, you ain't really telling us the truth. And again, it wasn't really, government was looking like Americans, you know, you don't need to know. You know, so we got it under control. And that's just how it went from there. Again, Phillip J. Corso, on the other hand, was like, you know, these things need to be spoke out. Again, he written a book about it. He spoke about it in interviews and to a lot of people. Brave man, very brave man. Some people weren't that lucky. They were actually murdered. Phil Schnieder and William Cooper, or some people call him Bill Cooper. These guys were murdered. These courageous men told the truth because they believe every American needs to know what the government is doing, what's really going on. But again, their lives were cut short because of it. You know, our heads have been down for a while. You know, we pay attention to our device. You know, we're missing the things above that we can be able to see almost on a daily basis. You know, it's a lot of signs and wonders out there, you know, again, but what you focus on is like, that's what you're giving your attention to. I'm not trying to tell you to conduct your lives or nothing like that, but just don't forget to look up. About the line and the cover-ups, you know, I was like oh man, I think a lot of kids did it. I mean, I was one of them. I was lying about something to my mom, and then I covered up with another lie. That didn't work, so I covered with another lie. And she was smart enough to know I was lying, you know. Now she know I get whooped for it. But that was just how my mother was. Again, it's like you kind of know the truth hits you, and you also know it's like, okay, somebody is BSing, you know, someone ain't telling the truth. I got this from a prophet. This is like from a prophecy this lady had written, that what Jesus had shared with her. I'm going to read it to you. But this is apparently what Jesus said. He said, after the rapture, NASA, NASA, of the United States will make an announcement that thousands of UFOs from a distant planet in the universe surrounded the entire Earth and abducted numerous people around the world with a powerful ultra-modern sucking machine in one moment, promising to make further investigations into the matter and trying to cover it up. So over billions and billions of people simply vanished from the world. Vanished, just a blink of an eye. Somebody got a lot of explaining to do. So apparently what the government would do is that, you know, they would make an announcement that UFOs covered this galaxy and just took all these people, and they're making investigations of it because they can't explain the supernatural. You know, the word rapture is not in the Bible, but there is verses that I will put out there, and it basically means snatch away or being caught up. So when you read 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, starting at verse 16, it's being caught up. That word in Greek, I believe, is harpazo. In Latin, that word caught up in Latin is rapturo. And that's where you get the word in English, rapture. So again, rapture just means being caught up. It's like being snatched away. If they don't exist, this is me being honest when I was like writing this out, but I said this: if aliens and UFOs and, you know, the stuff that I'm talking about now for the past few minutes, if they don't exist, and I know people's belief and opinions matters to them, then consider it to be a propaganda. Consider it to be just, you know what I'm saying, a bunch, just two dead flies smashed, just nothing. Consider it to be nothing. Like, you can just ignore it. Again, I'm not doing this to get attention. I'm not doing this for likes. This is actually July 2nd. I don't know when I'm actually like post this up. But if I am speaking the truth, then you know that there is some sort of cover up, a great deception. And you know who's behind it. And by speaking things like this concerning the aliens, concerning governmental cover-ups, because before it gets to us, it reaches them. You know, and if it reaches us, they want to get involved first. In the Old Testament, you know, these Nephilims, they were in battle with mankind. You know, these Nephilim tribe beings, these hybrids or demigods. We just have a different name for them. We just have a different name for them. But they were in battle back in the day. They had some battles. Again, David killed one. He didn't care. They would kill anybody. That was his nature as a king. Like, he'll kill anybody. But they really needed to be removed from. They need to be like eliminated from Earth. Jesus said, "Set your mind on things above, not on things of the world." Set your mind on heavenly things, not sinful things. Jesus said that the things that are seen is temporary, but the things that are unseen is eternal. So it's like no wonder he wants us to keep our mind in heaven, because it's forever and it's where we belong. Not on a place that is soon to be destroyed, which is this planet. They are known to lie a lot. Aliens are known to lie. Like I said, they work for the enemy, and they may even convince you that they were behind the acts of ancient prophets, influencing spiritual leaders and prophetic powers, claiming that, you know what I'm saying, that they are the key. The Ezekiel's wheel, they consider that to be a UFO, but a lot of people are saying, which entirely it is not. But again, they want to harvest the minds of human beings, because they know that if you control the mind, the rest will follow. You know, Christianity grew because of love and power. Love and power, they coexist with one another. In Acts chapter 1 verse 8, it says that when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, you will receive power. The kingdom of heaven is not about words, you know, it's not about eating or drinking, but it's basically about power and righteous living. Again, the Holy Spirit is the power of God. They know that if they're able to influence mankind, that they are behind these sort of acts and powers, that we'll be able to draw our attention not on what's being read in the scriptures, but what's on them and what they can offer. Again, remember that trade that has happened in the days of Genesis chapter 6, and what was spoken about, you know, in Jude verse 6, in the days of Enoch. Again, it's that trade, you know, it's that they have that superficial, you know, that information that they can give us, you know, that spiritual enlightenment, that they are behind the true source of, you know what I'm saying, the acts of Christ, you know, things like that, and being able to do things that no human could do. So it's like they're able to draw us in with their false signs and wonders. You know, we have had messengers that claim to be messiahs and prophets, or chosen ones. That's what messiahs mean, the chosen one. The original message of salvation, the good news of Christ, and formulating their own news. Like Muhammad took the Prophet Muhammad, apparently, he took the message and came up with his own theory, receiving it from an angel. Joseph Smith, Charles Taze Russell, taking the message of salvation and forming their own doctrine. So basically, it's like they're taking it from Jesus and they're forming their own. It speaks about this in Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 1 through 4, and Galatians chapter 1, verse 8 and 9. I was reading a report. I didn't skip the page. I was reading a report. I'm sorry, not a report, but like a video, and it was going like, it was a documentary about Exodus and the signs and wonders of opening of the Red Sea, and they were kind of like debunking everything like it didn't happen, or it was just a scientific earthly occurrence that happened, and then it was just recorded in these books. They said that Moses and the burning bush, apparently those bushes would normally catch on fire, and with the high altitude or something like that, and in the weather catch on fire, and a certain bush releasing some sort of hallucinogenic, caused Moses to like hallucinate, and like he was hearing God and talking to the bush like he was on some sort of drug, and that's how he was able to like talk to God and stuff, because of that drug. That so it's like these lies, or like the low tide, and then the Red Sea start to open things. So it's like it's just been really trying to like take the truth and manipulate it. I know I'm getting a little bit off subject here, but there is a whole lot of evidence of Christianity in Egypt. A lot. There has been a few, thanks to Ron Wyatt, the crossing of the Red Sea, the post there. He also was able to like take pictures on the water of like the chariot wheels, the Egyptian chariot wheels. It's good to really just educate yourself on a lot of these things, because some of the stuff we do not know nothing about. Some things that churches will not speak on. Again, like, what if what I said come true? These aliens just all of a sudden here, and it's like now by you listening, you would know that it's all just a bunch of BS. Like, they are here for one thing, what I'm saying? Like, it's really to control and dominate. Other people will be influenced by their lies, like a lot of them are doing now. And you gotta know that Jesus is the way, not them. No matter what they can offer, what technology can give you. Like, it's cool and nice to have these gadgets and stuff, but don't put it in the way of who Jesus is to you, because he loves you. He died for you. Perhaps they will convince mankind that they are the ones to influence Jesus. Apparently they monitor human beings for ages, lying to us, educating us on how they inspire great leaders to establish peace, order, and harmony. But basically we done killed them off. Dr. King, Malcolm X, these people who really held on such great enthusiasm, just potential power to change the world, and they died, murdered, Jesus being one of them. So they, like I said, they want to influence. They're going to take the glory by saying that they are the ones to influence them to do it. Again, it's just basically they want to be the source of positivity. Again, they work for one enemy, Satan. They don't really speak, apparently. They use telepathy, which is, like mind reading and mind communication. The world could hold them responsible for enlightening us with courage and wisdom. Besides, they use telepathy. They may become spiritual idealists that made a global impact to our society. It's all about them receiving praise, and in return, Satan can say, "Job well done" for them by deceiving mankind, taking us away from Christ. What else? It's basically a part of their deceptive plan. For others, will suggest that basically they are the voice of the Holy Spirit. Again, they are behind a lot of. They're just wicked in their ways, but they want to take what's good and for them to be the source of it. But we know God is the source of righteousness and stuff, but they want to take it as for them. You know what I'm saying? They want to, you know how it goes. It's all a counterfeiting act. You know, if Jesus did it, then Satan wants to copy it and do it better. Remember when Jesus said that, you know, this generation seeks for a sign? Guess who wants to bring it forth? You know, so guess who wants to offer it? Because we know that we're able to be attracted by signs and wonders. In the scriptures, Jesus performed miracles and the people believed. But that's when he said that we are considered to be blessed, because he said this. He said that he called me and you blessed because we were not there to actually see the things that he'd done. But yet we still believe in him. We still believe that he did it. And by the way, I've been wanting to talk about this for years, but you know, there's a demon behind every statue. Any religious icon that you have, even if it is Jesus, we know that Jesus don't use something that's created in his image. That's a graven image. You know what I'm saying? You see things that's pouring, like, you know, blood or oil, you know what I'm saying, like from these statues. There's a demon behind every statue that you pay homage to. Like I said, it's all about getting our attention and shifting our faith off of him onto these objects. What Satan wants to do is that he wants to just remove your faith, remove your focus, and take all that and shift it towards the natural things, so that he can actually use that in a way of like you leaving your relationship with God. You know what I'm saying? So he can become the glory of you leaving it. You know what I'm saying? And he can just feed you more intellect, feed you more enlightenment, feed you wisdom and stuff, knowing that these things come from God, but yet he wants for your faith to be shifted to something else, no matter what it is. He just don't want you to be with Christ. That's it. Because like he literally is the only way to the kingdom, the only way to God. About the signs and wonders, you know, there's actually a picture of Mother Mary in the clouds. No, this happened more than once. Not every sign you see in heaven is so-called Project Blue Book, Blue Beam. Sometimes, you know, in the scriptures it says that God will show signs in the heavens. So he can show signs, he can show angels in the heaven, he can show his face. Like, he's God, he can do whatever he wants, he can do whatever he please. But any sign that we know that's from God, it automatically gives him glory, it automatically gives him praise. But there's also different kind of signs too that angelic beings can also perform. Like apparently they, you know, it's like aliens performing light shows to the world. Project Bluebeam was first developed by Canadian journalists and conspiracy theorists back in 1994. His theory suggests that the NASA, NASA, and the United Nations are planning to create a new world order by using technology, stimulated mind control to shape a global New Age religion. One of the steps of this project is developing a gigantic space holographic laser projection, causing a universal supernatural manifestation used by electronics. But again, not every sign that you see in the clouds is all about this blue beam thing. It's not. I myself have seen angels. I even took a picture of one. I seen an angel laying down, other pictures, and there's also videos of it too. But you know, it's, again, God said, you know, it is him that shows the signs and wonders. Again, it's just, you know, when we are able to give God the attention, you know, thanking him for it, it's like he smiles on that, like he do. I mean, 2001, the World Trade Center, a terrorist attack brought harmony amongst Americans, you know what I'm saying, in the church and also outside of it. And then it's like days or months, years later, it's like, you know, they kick God out of church and they didn't want to bring him back in, you know what I'm saying, when things go bad. And it's like we use God as a last resource. And it's like, you know, we make God to be out like a snitch, you know what I'm saying, like, You know, when I need you, I need you. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, you can just get back in your corner. You know, when something bad happens, you know, like this virus, whatever, and it's like every nation comes together. George Floyd, sadly, that he been one of the many African Americans that were put to death, you know what I'm saying, in public by corrupt officers, and he didn't deserve it. But even with his death, everybody came around. I mean, Black Lives Matter wasn't even just black anymore. It was Asians that were standing for Black Lives Matter. Native Americans, Alaskans, it was just, you know, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, all over the world, Black Lives Matter. I remember I was here in Milwaukee, I seen a group of white folks saying Black Lives Matter. One of them had the nerve to say Black Power. I was like, you know, it was looking like, well, you know, it is what it is, but didn't mean despise all that, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sorry. Just besides all that, when something bad happens, you know what I'm saying, then we come together as a nation. And I want you to think about something. When nation goes against nation, you know what I'm saying, we are, as a nation, we are united, and we're actually in conflict. A foreign war can cause a nation to unite and fight, right? We World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, this war of the plague that has been happening, you know, this Corona thing, Black Lives Matter, you know, we all united. A galactic war can cause the entire world to fight together. So can you just think about that? We are actually in war with aliens or something like that. Just imagine that. I mean, just think about it. That the entire world is at war with alien species. I mean, of course you've seen the movie, but just imagine that we are all together. Africans with Jamaicans, the Brazilians with Chinese, you know what I'm saying? Americans with Canadians, like we're all together fighting against them. But you can see how it just really brings us together as a people. Just something to think about. You can. I can't say if it's happening or not, but just something to really think about. About crop circles, it could be a significant message to other terrestrial beings besides they're the ones that can actually see it. It's symbols from above, and they can actually decipher the message. I mean, if you were in a crop circle, you won't be able to see it unless you're from above. So it takes someone that has a plane or a flying disc, UFO, to really see, to look down, to understand the meaning of it. But yeah, aliens, they can be posed as angels, basically, spiritual enlightenment, or even gods. You know what I'm saying? But the last time I checked, you know, aliens don't need a flying spacecraft. You know, it's been said that they recorded history. It's called something that's called, remember I was telling you about projects like Project Bluebeam, whatever. There's another project called Project Yellow Book. It's said to be a sort of holographic compact disc, which can project images of information it contains. It is alleged to contain reference to biblical events, even including a holographic depiction of the crucifixion of Christ. And there's, I think you've probably seen the pictures where it's like there's, I mean, what, 15, 14, 16th century, I'm sorry, yeah, like 17th century, like images of seeing like these UFOs, you know, sitting behind a crucifixion of Christ and stuff like that. Like you can see these things like, you know what I'm saying, artwork, you know what I'm saying, throughout centuries. It's like, you know, aliens been here that long. I'm just saying, you know, if you look at the story of, you know, in the days of Exodus, these ancient gods and stuff, and then the Nephilims and, you know, Old Testament fights, then what happened in the days of Enoch, you know what I'm saying, then these aliens, and it's like, again, working for the same evil being. The Iran officials said that the White House, that there are actually tall white space aliens control America. Phil Schnieder, his father, I believe, was in this sort of project. Forgot what it was, but Phil Schnieder, he was giving out a lecture. He did, I think, maybe 3 or 4 lectures. But he had a picture of this alien that looks like a human being that worked in the Pentagon for around 50 years. And that's what they're saying with the Iran officials, like their government saying that, you know, America it's being controlled by tall white space aliens and stuff. So it's, again, it's all about what happened years ago. About Area 51, I'm not gonna get much to that, but this is not just Area 51. There's different areas, 52, 53, whatever. It's like, people say it's like, you know, they're testing stealth spacecraft. So it's like going underneath, like going like below levels, you know. There's it's like it's where they like harvesting things. They reverse engineering, you know, special projects and gadgets and whatever, and then they kind of like test it out in the open or stuff like that. So when you read Revelation chapter 12, verse 7 through 9, Michael and his angels fought against Satan and his angels, and Satan and his angels, you know what I'm saying, couldn't succeed. It's like there was no room for them, so they all just simply like just crash landed here on this planet, on this earth. Now nothing was here on this time, nothing. So if you were to read Genesis chapter 1, whatever, you have to go before them. So when you go before that, you will find it's Revelation chapter 12 about the birth of the earth. Now you read Genesis chapter 1, it says, you know, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And it says, now the earth was without form, empty, you know, it was void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. So basically, if you read that, it's like the earth was already here, but it did not look like this now. But it was already here. You know what I'm saying? It was void, it was empty, it was dark. You know, that's what it says about the earth. And then, you know, it goes on to say, like, the spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters, you know, of the surface of the deep. You know what I'm saying? That's when he started creating and formulating, producing, you know, what we have now as the earth. But before that, it was them that was here. So if they've been here before us, you know, it's like, you kind of get what I'm saying? Like, they were actually here way before us. So what plan did they have, you know what I'm saying, to corrupt? So now they're doing on the earthly kingdom. And who are here on this earth? Me and you. So with all this deception and, you know, Satan being the father of lies, you would take the truth and just manipulate it in a way that it can be entertaining, it can be cool. Like, there's actually a Netflix show called Lucifer. Like, who, you know what I'm saying? Like, who does that? Again, it's all about entertainment. So that's why I'm just coming this straightforward with this stuff with you, to you about these things. Oh yeah, if you may be wondering about like Freemasonry, Illuminati, all the other stuff. Freemasonry started, of course, basically saying even before, like around the days of King Solomon. Freemasons, they were free builders. That's what Masons build. Illuminati kind of started in Europe. But with this, you know what I'm saying, the Freemasonry thing, I know a guy personally that was in that and got out of it immediately. You know, going in as an apprentice, whatever it's called. But he kept it short. He said, the higher you get, the more you are in a relationship with the devil than you are with Christ. So he just basically kept it short from you, that, you know, you're told certain secrets, whatever, but he kind of knew, like, you know what I'm saying, like, he was in it. So these are first-hand experience that the higher you are, you know what I'm saying, level, the far distance you are away from Christ. And you are more connected to Satan than anything, right? This is what General Macarthur said in 1962. He mentioned about this alien war, this concept. Ronald Reagan done the same thing. Bill Clinton done the same thing. This is what General Macarthur said. He said, we deal now not with things of this world alone. We speak in strange terms of harnessing the cosmic energy, of ultimate conflict between a united human race and the sinister forces of some other planetary galaxy. This is from a general.
I have a picture of one of the aliens been working for the United States Pentagon for the last 58 years. His name is Val Valiant Thor. He's right here. There's my father in the background. This whole place, the ready room of the USS Eldridge, Al Bielek has probably explained, or maybe even shown you this picture. There's a list of some of the notable people in it. They're all the atomic bomb scientists of the day, all the time variant experimentalists of the day, all the top physicists of that particular day. This was in August of 1943. Now this guy has not changed one iota in 58 years. Started work, he came here, crashed here or whatever, whether he's under duress or not. He started work for our U.S. Navy and military operations in 1937, either 37 or 38 is what I've been told. So it's for 58 years, this man's been employed, probably under duress. If you don't do as we say, we're just going to use you for alien bait or something, I don't know. But anyway, he basically hasn't changed. He lives for 490 years, is what he says his lifespan is. Now, he's supposedly a semi-benevolent, he's a human-looking type person. He has 6 fingers and 6 toes, and he's got one oversized heart, one lung, giant lung. His blood vessels are bigger. He's got copper oxide for blood, similar to an octopus. His brain capacity 300 centimeters greater than ours. He has a thinking capacity, IQ, if you were to measure it, be totally off the scale, be about a 1200 IQ. He speaks 100 languages fluently, alien as well as others. He's a remarkable person. I had a chance to meet him one time. Now, by the way, he doesn't shake hands. He was kind of in a spacesuit, because all aliens, regardless benevolent or otherwise, they're carrying germs and diseases and bacterium in and on them that are deadly to us. If I were making policy, I'd quarantine them all, because how do we not know that some of our diseases like AIDS, Ebola, hantavirus, and a few of these other weird designer diseases, as I call them, are not made from the cadavers of some of these aliens as a biological weapon to use against the people of the United States? Well, I'm a tired American speaking out.
The aliens explained that they had created us through hybridization and had manipulated the human race through religion, Satanism, witchcraft, magic, the occult, secret societies, etc. They further explained that they were capable of time travel, and the events would indeed come to pass. Later exploitation of alien technology by the United States and the Soviet Union utilizing time travel confirmed that indeed something bad was going to happen. The aliens showed a hologram which they claimed was the actual crucifixion of Christ, which the government filmed. We did not know whether to believe them or not. Were they using our genuine religions to manipulate us? Or were they indeed the source of our religions, with which they had been manipulating us all along? Or was this the beginning scenario of the genuine end times and the return of Christ, which had been predicted in the Bible? No one knew the answer.
that I was just showing you guys. That dream came up. You remember that dream that I had? That dream was 2009. So a lot of these things kind of happen around that time. Kind of like being prepared, and it's like when you get this sort of information, you know, you want to save it, you want to keep it, you want to store it somewhere where it's safe. With all this documentation, so I have to maybe put it somewhere. I don't know, I'll probably just keep it in here.
There was held a meeting in an egg-shaped dome auditorium. The place was something I have never seen before on Earth. The auditorium was solid gold, and I was on a high top deck looking below, and I seen different tribes of aliens walked in. Some looked like leaders of different unearthly empires or realms. One of the leaders looked like an Egyptian king with jewelry in different colors like a god will wear while being worshipped in the Egyptian days. Other leaders came in and looked like humans. One of them even looked like a prince. Others were ugly, and others looked like a reptile that walked like humans, and others after their own kind. The different tribes of alien leaders were dressed according to their own glory. As they all walked in, the auditorium had rows on the higher stands after each row, and they kept going up to the top. On the opposite side, as I was on the main floor looking at this scene, on the opposite side were the humans. We were all wearing the same thing. Even I was dressed like them. We all had shiny gold robes, and with this type of medieval chain of gold on the torso part of our chest with dazzling and sparkled gold jewelry on. I walked toward the president of the Human Council group. I can tell it because it had the title on its desk, where I was actually sitting next to. I sat next to him, but a row below him. Deep inside, I knew that the aliens were about control. They said to us, 2012 of December is coming soon, and that we'll be able to help you, and we'll be here, said the aliens. I looked at the president of the Human Council, and I told him, don't let this happen. They're about control and enslaving us. He looked at me and said, don't talk with swift words. Some other stuff he said, but I couldn't remember. He then told the alien tribes that were assembled together in the rows that, no, we don't need your help, said the Human Council president. I felt that the aliens were mad, and they left one by one. Rows by rows they left, and we departed as well, and I woke up.
Yeah, Proverbs chapter 10, verse 4. Wise men store up knowledge, but the mouth of a fool invites ruin. I hope you guys really learned something from this. Again, if it doesn't make sense to you, you can just ask, or if you don't believe it, and don't believe it. I mean, some people believe in Santa Claus. Well, he did exist, Bishop St. Nicholas, but then don't believe it. But if you do, then just ask God more about it, and he'll reveal it to you. Because one thing he don't want is for his people to perish. And though he says some people perish for lack of knowledge, some people perish because of foolishness and remaining ignorant to the fact that he's releasing a lot of information. Although some can be false, it's good to just ask for wisdom to be sure, because you don't want to spread you don't want to believe a rumor and then spread it. I'm going to be reading from Colossians chapter 2, verse 12 through 15. These 4 verses has so much meaning to it. And to summarize it all, it says basically that we all have power over them concerning the spiritual rulers and authorities, that we actually have power over them because of Jesus. So here it is, verse 12 through 15. For you were buried with Christ when you were baptized, and with him you were raised to new life because you trusted the mighty power of God who raised Christ from the dead. You were dead because of your sins and because your sinful nature was not yet cut away. Then God made you alive with Christ, for he forgave all our sins. He canceled the record of the charges against us and took it away by nailing it to the cross. In this way, he disarmed the spiritual rulers and authorities. He shamed them publicly by his victory over them on the cross. I hope that you learned something from this. You may already have known this already, but it's number one, it's good to be educated. Self-educate yourself on things that you may not know, so that whenever it does come to pass, you'll be able to do something about it. Why am I doing this? I believe that every American should know, every world should know. I think China for sure, but I know Brazil and the Prime Minister released their information on these aliens and UFOs and stuff like that to the public about 5-6 years ago. They went public about it. But I believe that every American should know. I'm not some sort of patriot. I'm not a patriotic type person. I'm not a radical individual. I'm just me. I'm just myself. But I believe that no one should be believing in a lie. No one should. We've already been believing lies enough by watching TV and stuff and interacting with video games. Again, that's just entertainment purposes, but I believe there should be a time where people should be educated and edified on subjects that can better the human race, and being involved with things that is kind of like considered to be false or mythological, or or other ways people will say it's BS, but it's good to just be educated anyways on a lot of stuff. Again, if the government knows about it, then in a way that we shall also know too. Less time comes where these things are finally being open to the world, and now they're actually invading our space. You want to at least get to know, like, okay, this is actually happening. This is the truth. All that. So that's why I'm just sharing this stuff with you. A lot of things we may not want to hear. I may get, unsubscribed by some people. But again, I'm not doing this for subscribers. I'm doing this for the people. I have listened to a lot of other things that I wasn't interested in, but I still gave an ear. I still gave an eye to it. Again, it's just good to be educated. We don't know everything. God do. So it's simple enough to just ask him. I've been hearing about aliens since I was growing up. That my grandmother would say, they're nothing but fallen angels, or they're nothing but demons. And I kind of took that, and then I kind of go into the scriptures and see Nephilims and look at the book of Enoch and the book of Jude. Again, it's just different cultures have different names for them, but they all work under one satanic being, and that's Satan. Wickedness in the high places, that sort of governmental structure of demonic influences, over the earth. There's beings there that that we need to be aware about. We need to be strong, and we can build ourselves up. We can do that mentally, we can do that physically, but God definitely have to be with us in all areas of our life. Again, with this alien stuff, if you don't agree with it, then don't. Just really don't. Have I seen UFOs? Yes. Have I seen aliens in my dream? Yes. Have I seen aliens in person? No. Wouldn't want to. But, again, just be educated. I hope that you did learn something from this. Any questions, concerns, if still here, then I'll try to answer them. I love you all. Pray for one another. Pray for yourselves also. And I love you. Take care.